And hello, welcome back to week 6 of the Hall of Fame Huddle live broadcast. I was told that I need to get some intro music, but I'm not that smart. So as you can see, we have John Bozica with us this week. How are you, John?
Good. How about you, Rich? This is a little bit different this week. Some video, and you're getting the whole test of the broadcast world. I'm proud of you as you're moving up in the steps of this.
I am on mic talent, producer, and whatever extraordinaire.
That's right. You're learning piece by piece. It's a process.
When I come up with some intro music, what do you think I should use?
Intro music. I don't know. It just kind of comes to you. Sometimes you're just driving in the car and you hear something and it just works.
I think I'll go with like Return of the Mac or something.
Can't ever go wrong with that.
Well, how was your week, John?
Good. Saw some pretty decent games last week. I can't remember if we talked after. Did we talk after the Glen Oak Hoover game? We talked last week, didn't we?
Oh man, did we cover that game? I think we did.
Yeah, but since then, saw Tuslaw and CVCA last Saturday. That was a good game, a lot of fun to call that. And then saw some college ball on Sunday. Did the Walsh men's and women's doubleheader, and got to see the women's team and Coach Bruce and talented group of girls they have. They were without Kimmy Bork, the former Stark County standout, but nonetheless they were fun to watch. They fell to Findlay, but it was a good week of basketball. It was excited to be doing some college stuff too.
You got any games coming up this week?
Yeah, tomorrow night actually we have McKinley Jackson at McKinley Glen Oak at the field house. So gonna see if the Bulldogs can they're kind of playing better basketball right now. They really are. I mean, they gave Berlin Highland just about everything they could possibly give them, and they had a nice effort over Lake over the weekend. So excited to see how they handle Glen Oak the second time around, because the first time around Glen Oak got them pretty good.
What is it about the Hoover-McKinley matchup that, I mean, it seems like McKinley has Hoover's number for some reason. Am I imagining, or?
Yeah, I don't know. That seems to always be the case every single year. I think that McKinley just seems to match up well with Hoover. I think that, that's a matchup that, even going back to obviously a couple of years ago with Kirsten Bell, it was always a problem for Hoover. And I just think that what it really comes down to is, if you're a team that can play well against Abby's man in the half court, and you can man up and score, then you can get it done. Now, to that point, though, Hoover did get McKinley last year in the tournament. Peyton Davis had a great game, and kind of flipped the script on that. So, we'll see. I don't know, the tournament, they announced that they're going to do the super brackets, and I know that's going to be exciting. So, lots to talk about.
And while we're talking about Hoover McKinley, we're actually going to start tonight's show with the very well-known former McKinley head coach and now Hoban boss lady, Pam Davis. How are you, Pam?
Good evening, Rich and John. How are you both?
Good, doing well, Pam. Good to hear from you.
How were your holidays, Pam?
Very quiet, small group, obviously, but well worth it to keep all of my in-laws and my mom healthy.
Yeah, well, I don't know, what was it, 28th or 29th? I don't remember which day it was, but I saw you guys at South Range. And you guys looked pretty solid. I know it was a slow start, and I'm sure you weren't exactly happy with that first quarter, but you guys got rolling. And I've said this more than once. You guys may be the most talented team 1 through 10 that I've seen. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. You guys got a lot of talent over there in all 4 classes. What are the challenges of having a roster that has that much talent?
Well, we have talent on paper, but it takes a lot to develop chemistry, develop systems, and our upperclassmen are kind of new, and then we have a bunch of babies as freshmen. So it's been a juggling act to try to find the right starting lineup and all the kids that buy into the defensive system that we want to present, and so that's kind of been a challenge. And then also roles that have been changed, from a year ago, whether it be within Hoban or whether it has been from some of our newcomers.
Mm-hmm. How much of a challenge is it, and this is probably speaking more to your personnel right now, generally, and again, I wrote a little, piece in on the website after that game. How hard is it to deal with a bunch of kids that, they come from different schools and they played 25, 28 minutes, or even freshmen coming in that were expecting to play a lot of minutes. And that's just not the formula for you guys this year. Has that been tougher for you or easier than you thought, or how's that going?
Actually, it's been easier than I thought it would be because all of my kids have the same goal in mind, and they know it's we over me. And if we're going to, try to win some championships or go for some titles, they have to have some self-sacrifice, and all of the kids have bought into that thus far.
Coach, I know as you guys are in year 2 of building the system there and like that, you mentioned that word system that I just did as well, but you had a system that was known at McKinley in the Federal League. I mean, you love to press, you love to, get up in teams' faces on the defensive end and kind of play that up-tempo style. How has that kind of translated to Hoban, or have you kind of had to rethink what you guys did so well for so many years at McKinley?
Well, you can ask Rich as well, but that's the same style that we play at Hoban that we played at McKinley. We definitely like to get up in everybody's face, 94 feet, pressure the basketball, and get out in transition. And I think our offensive transition actually is better at Hoban than it was at McKinley because we're averaging a little over 70 points a game.
Wow, that's a big number, and I know that some of that obviously goes to one of the games that you guys played against South Range. What was it like to be in a game like that was kind of never ending, and what kind of lesson did that teach your girls early in the year, Coach, to play in a game like that was overtime, a lot of points, a lot of effort left on the floor? What did that teach them?
That definitely taught our team perseverance. And I really feel, and this is just my opinion, that South Range really got snubbed in the first state poll. They may have, a few losses, but the competition that they're playing is top notch. And Coach Fisher is really not afraid to play anyone. But it was just a very fun game, particularly from a from the stands or a fan standpoint. But 92 points that we scored was definitely up there in the top 5. And then my junior forward, Lene Riley, had a career high of 47 points, which is the second highest in Hoban girls basketball history.
Pam, I know that when you were at McKinley, I remember talking to you, I think it was Kirsten's senior year, and we were talking about how there was no such thing as a super district then. So everyone had to play each other. Everyone had to knock each other out. Is it a good feeling going into this year, knowing that there is kind of a super district now that's going to take place and that it's going to be a different system? You still have to go through a lot of teams, but does it make you happy that maybe you can pick and choose where you want to go?
Well, I've always said that if we were going to have a state tournament, that it should be equal across all parts of the state. And now it finally is, where you have an opportunity to pick or select what district you'd like to go through. There's still tons and tons of talented teams. I looked at the 37 teams that are across the districts, and now I'm back in the Federal League stomping grounds, where I could potentially run into any of those teams. Plus, you have, Solon and Stowe and Warren Harding that's out there in the Trumbull County area. The only downside is that there are some teams that have, 11 games that they've played, and then there's other teams that have only had 2 or 3 games played. So I think it really has a lot to do with how healthy you are at the end of the season and how well that chemistry and conditioning plays a part as far as game time. But I'm definitely happy that we're able to select where we want to go this year.
Yeah, Coach, one more thought on that, and then I'll let Rich take it back here. But you mentioned the idea of not having many games to scout, maybe not having many games for yourself to look at. Does that delay the process of putting things in for the postseason, putting in that extra wrinkle that you're looking at? Does that delay that process of maturation that you would normally be at this point in the year?
For me, yes, because I have freshmen that start. I have a new crop of kids that are here. So the more games we have under our belt, I think the more prepared we would be. As far as scouting, I'm an in-person scouter. I've always, you'll see me at tons of games, and with COVID, we're not allowed to do that. But there is the ease now of YouTube and live streams that you actually can see, 2 or 3 games on devices at one time, which is kind of nice. But I still like the traditional in-person scouting, all your coaches there collecting thoughts and trying to game plan. But, it is what it is, and we'll try to make the best of it.
Pam, you guys, and we're with Hoban head coach Pam Davis. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the CVCA game was your first game of the year. Is that right?
Yes.
And you've had, that's your only loss. So you're on a 9-10 game win streak right now?
No, we're only 6-1, so we've only had
6
7 games. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the improvements that you have seen from your team from day one till now.
Well, we took the CVCA game was not initially on our schedule. Coach called me up Friday afternoon at 3:00, says, you want to play tomorrow at Saturday? And I'm like, okay, might as well, because our first 3 games were canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So I think between then, in November to now in January, we really picked up steam as far as that defensive intensity. We still give up too many points, in my opinion, for us to make a deep run in the tournament. But we're not letting easy transition buckets happen anymore, or not wide open threes as we've had in the past. So I think that they're understanding what we're looking for defensively. And then on the offensive end, we've been able to have multiple players score in double figures, which makes us harder to defend rather than just a one-person show in Lene Riley, which I think is a tremendous power forward. But we're getting some double-figure scoring from my perimeter kids.
And that's definitely something that I noticed when you guys play. There's, truly, there's probably 10 kids on your team that could score in double digits on any given night. And that's a great luxury to have. But I do want to ask about Lene specifically, because she did have that huge game against South Range. Tell us a little bit about your post player, Lene Riley, and how she's coming along for you the last 2 years.
Lene has really put a lot of emphasis in her conditioning level and changing her body. So she's really put forth, eating healthy, getting a good night's sleep, trying to be that ultimate student athlete. But she's got a wonderful touch around the rim. She works her hips and feet very nicely from block to block, and she can score, with a drop step or a hook. And we haven't had to have her shoot the 3, but she can shoot the 3 and is pretty darn accurate. Compared to last year, she did shoot it. But now we have more outside threats like Carly Anchor and Grace Schill and Emma Rasmussen that she can stay down on the block and work where she's basically automatic.
Okay, and I don't want this. I got to ask this question. I don't want it to come off as a smart aleck or anything, but You know, a lot of people obviously don't like the amount of transfers that you guys got. And I mean, that's not just Hoban or, you know, it's always a private versus public school thing. I mean, what would you say, you know, to the people that have problems with that or think that it's not on the up and up?
Well, I would say that, first of all, Hoban is a wonderful academic institution. They get high state scores. They get 99% of their kids in college. So you cannot beat the rigorous academic classes that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm not going to lie, we have a pretty good reputation as being basketball coaches that can get kids in college, and get kids noticed and get exposure for. And so these families or whatever potential families, they have to do what's best for their family and for their daughter in order to get a free education, because we all know it doesn't matter if it's NEIA or, high D1, basketball players goal is to get to the next level. And I think that they have an excellent chance to do that in Hoban. And
I mean, the coaches that have asked me, as far as, the tournament seating and whatnot, I'll be straight up with you. I have you guys as the number one team in that super district. I think you guys are going to be very tough to beat. But what are a couple things that you guys definitely have to tighten up on between now and, was February 15th when the tournament starts?
I think one of the big things is being able to game plan for each individual team. And what I mean by that is there's going to be some guard out there, and Glen Oak might be one of them with Breezy Williams, where you cannot press this kid because she's got great speed and great court vision. So can we adapt and modify and go to a 3/4 court or a half court trap or some other, hybrid defense? So just being able to game plan and not necessarily go at somebody 94 feet, even though that's what we like to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we've done a decent job with our preseason conditioning, where I've scrimmaged 3 Federal League teams. So I kind of have a temperature check of what's going on down in Stark County, and watched tons and tons of games to try to get up into Cuyahoga County, Lake County, and haven't had a chance to see Warren Hardy, but I know that they have 2 studs too. So Stowe's going to be tough, even though they've had only a few games under their belt. So yeah, I think it can be anybody's chance at this point. It's just, like I said, whoever is clicking on all cylinders and who's healthy at the time.
Do you guys feel like if you can get a top seed that you have an advantage, considering there's no neutral sites for the districts? I mean, Hoban is a smaller gym, and you guys are throwing 10 people at teams. I mean, I think Bennett can't play the second half. Is that right?
Yeah,
is she the only one?
She'll be done pretty much after the Classic in the country.
Okay. So, I mean, you got to feel like that is an advantage, and that's something different from previous years, that no team has had the home court advantage after sectionals. So, it's going to be a battle for those top seeds this year for sure.
Oh, I definitely agree. But, I like the quote unquote home field advantage, especially for my freshmen that play a lot. They won't be as nervous going into a big arena with a lot of people. So it kind of suits us a little bit this year.
Well, Pam, I want to thank you for your time. I definitely would like to get up and see you guys again before the tournament starts, but it was definitely a treat seeing you the first time. But again, I want to thank you for your time and good luck the rest of the season. And tell Willie I said hi.
Will do. Thanks, Rich. Thanks, John. Appreciate the invite.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
John, could you imagine a Hoban Glen Oak district final, Hoban Hoover? I
can envision it. I think that that whole district. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the district yet. It's packed. I mean, the teams that are in it here, I hope I don't go off the screen here, but I was gonna read some of these. Am I still on the screen, Rich? I can't see.
Oh, you're blank, but we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm gonna read some of these teams. I'm gonna read this district to you just because of how, jam-packed that D1 district is. So in that district alone, you have Aurora, Hoban, Fitch, Boardman, Brush, Canfield, McKinley, Chardon, Cuyahoga Falls, Ellett, Glen Oak, Green, Hoover, Howland, Hudson, Jackson, Kenmore, Garfield. Watch for them because that's a really good team. Lake, Lakeside, Louisville, Madison, Mayfield, Mentor, Nordonia, Akron North, Eastlake North, Perry, Riverside, Solon, Willoughby South, Stowe, Theodore Roosevelt, Walsh Jesuit, Warren, Maslin, New Philly, and Marietta. That is a loaded district.
I mean, is that it?
That's it. That's it. I mean, but that's loaded. I mean, you think about the teams that are in there, and I mean, I can think of 5 teams right off the jump that could all win a district title, maybe 6, maybe 7. I mean, I think Hoban could do it. I think Glen Oak could do it. I think Jackson could do it. I think Stowe could do it. I think Hoover could do it. On the right night, if Foster and Terrell are playing hot for McKinley, they could be a thorn in someone's side.
But check this out. They're getting split up into 3 districts. What if we had and I'm not Hoban, Stowe, Warren, those teams are good. But what could you imagine if we had a Jackson, Hoover, Glen Oak regional at the Civic Center? Come on.
I don't even want to think about how great that could be.
And that's just based off the rivalry and the competitiveness. I mean, obviously Hoban's going to factor into that and Stowe's going to factor into that. But even if you have 2 of the Federal League teams, Hoover, Glen Oak, we just watched that game 10 days ago and it went in overtime. Put that thing at the Civic Center. Oh my.
I mean, and that's the thing is like you start to break down like who's going to be the most tournament equipped come that time. And obviously we know that Hoban has the big with Riley, and then they also have the pieces on the outside. And that's really the key. The teams that get there, they normally have one post player and then they have, a bunch of shooters surrounding it. So, I'm excited to see who kind of comes together. And I'm going to say it too. I mean, the team that I feel like is kind of getting forgotten at this point in the year because they're quietly having a good year is Jackson. I think people are probably kind of forgetting about them, but they're quietly moving along, and Bush has made a tougher schedule this year, so they're kind of flying under the radar. And that he's a tactician come tournament time, so he'll figure things out for his group.
Well, today the news dropped that Lauren Pilata has a torn PCL, so that's definitely gonna factor into Jackson's postseason run, and obviously even coming up in the next couple weeks with Hoover, Glen Oak coming up for them, and Highland. So she'll be back. They said at least a month, maybe a little more, but it's gonna be tough sledding for Jackson.
I mean, but there's still so much talent on that team. I mean, you think about without Lauren, what they've been able to do. And I mean, they're still playing in so many games. I mean, they gave Glen Oak everything they could possibly want and more without Lauren on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's still a really good team without Lauren. I mean, Emma, Lena, Ava, those are 3 of the names that always come to mind for me. Kylie, Elena. I mean, they have a deep team. They do.
Well, we're going to move on, John. And we're going to move on to a team that is probably very interesting to you because this team is in the regionals year in and year out. And I'm really excited to talk to Roy about his squad and his program. But this Perry could potentially be looking at playing Northwest this year at regionals, or West Branch. With the super regionals, things get a little mixed up. But so, Coach, I'm going to try not to butcher your last name, but man, Coach in Falvey.
Yeah, in Falvey. Good.
Man,
That's
I'm
right.
good.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to be here.
You guys are a program that is commonly mistaked for Maslin Perry, and
Yeah.
everybody in John and I's area is very familiar with Perry Panthers, but you are the
Sure.
Perry Pirates. And the reason it gets confused a lot is because you guys are successful and you do come down to Barberton quite often and play teams like West Branch and
Right.
Bookville and some of those squads. So my first question for you is, what has gone into a program like yours that you guys can consistently year in and year out be a productive program?
Well, I think we've done a good job here at Perry in the past. Before I was here as the head coach too, developing our youth program and our community travel program. So we have a real nice feeder system as far as our young girls growing up playing in the travel, in the rec programs, kind of, not necessarily playing the same system, but kind of learning basketball the right way, the way we want them to. And they get into it. They love it. And, I've seen that develop. But, I think last year's graduating class was the first one that kind of went all the way through our travel system, maybe 2 years ago, graduating class. So I think that has a lot to do with it. That community travel allows our kids to get out to, it's not AAU, not things like that, but they're playing other communities and, playing in some of those tournaments outside of Lake County where we live at. And they get that experience and they see what good basketball is and, kind of raise their game as they move up. So I think that's been big. We have some talented players, that always makes things, good when you have, talent. And we've been blessed to have some classes back to back with talent too. In a public school, you don't want two bad classes in a row. That kind of hurts a program. But the same thing, if you get multiple classes in a row that have some talented players, you build a lot of depth and you have a lot of success. So we've been blessed with that too.
Tell us a little bit about some of those kids. I know you have multiple 1,000-point scores. Congratulations to your daughter who got it last night, I believe.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
And then pretty cool. Madison Hacking, who's also a 1,000-point scorer. Tell us a little bit about some of your main pieces there.
Yeah, well, both Madison and Ellie have been 4-year starters for our program, and they've really, as they've gotten older, taken that leadership role, and we rely a lot on them, and really even the past 2 years, I've been really impressed with both of them because we, as the year moves on and we get into the tournament, they get face guarded, they get we get triangle and two, we get box and one on one of them, and they get a lot of pressure, and they've done a good job going, getting over that and getting through that. So we rely on a lot of their scoring, but really, I think the way our program's developed and, it makes kind of this year real special is, we have, I feel real strong. We have 9, 10 girls deep that we can go. I think we have some girls with varsity experience and some girls that are starting to step up and score. We've gotten our inside game going a little bit. Jaciana Anderson, who is our post player, she's about 5'10", but she's a bull, and she plays great defense, gets rebounds. And really, too, we had Madison playing point guard for us last year, and, we have a new girl not new girl, but a new point guard this year, Margot Jean, who doesn't do a lot of scoring, but she runs our offense and plays really good defense. And it's allowed Madison to be off the ball and Ellie to be off the ball, and we can create more things offensively that way.
Coach, when it comes to evaluating, I guess, success this year, when it comes to evaluating progress this year, how hard has that been with the potential of a stop, a start, a 3-week break, a this, a that, COVID?
Yeah.
How hard has that been?
one thing, it hasn't been too bad, and we've kind of tried to use it as, kind of a learning tool to be able to get better. And we've kind of said, like, listen, we have to be able to overcome adversity in different stages of our lives. Growing up as an adult, you're going to see it. But the same thing holds true in basketball. In a basketball game, in a basketball season, there's different levels of highs and lows. There's adversity we have to face. And we have to control what we can control. And the stuff that we can't control, we can't get caught up worrying about it. And our girls have done a really good job of that. We've been pretty lucky where we haven't really been shut down. We've had a couple girls had to quarantine because of maybe a close contact in a classroom. But as far as a program, we've been able to continue to practice. We played 11 games, which is phenomenal. I mean, there's some teams that are just starting. So we've been lucky that. But, even little things. We played at Gilmore in the middle of December, and, 2 days before, we got a call that said, hey, Gilmore's making every player wear a mask while they play in the game. And it was one of those, like, come on, but, I went to the girls and, it's like we could either play with the mask on or we don't play. And they're like, well, we're playing the game, and I said, listen, we're going to go into it. It is what it is. We're going to practice these 2 days with the mask on to get used to it. But it's not an excuse. That's what it is. Let's control what we can control, and came out, played a really good game, and it really didn't affect them, So little things like that we tried to use as learning tools, along the way, to not get bogged down by what we can't control.
Do you notice, though, that, I don't know, for you as a coach, do you notice that because you have had to have a girl sit out here or there, you have had to have that, little different nuance in the season that maybe you're not able to focus on the larger scale stuff that you'd want to focus on because there's so many little things taking your attention? Has that been a notice of you, or is it not really something you think about?
Yeah, we've tried to, as a program too, we always try to pay attention and focus on little detailed stuff. I'm pretty detailed oriented that way. I think obviously a lot of coaches, coaches are, but, we try to have kept practices and things as normal as possible. And, we've had little things here or there, throw a wrench into things, whether, I remember one day they couldn't do any contact tracing of a COVID case in the school. So I had practice and 8 of my 12 varsity girls couldn't practice. It was just like little things like that. So, we had practice with 4 girls and worked on certain things and got them back. So we just tried to make the best of what we had with that. And, I think we've been able to still cover and take care of a lot of those things. What really is so different about this year for me, though, is just the scheduling part of it. Our conference got moved back, pushed back, and, our first 10, 11 games, probably 7 of them weren't on our original schedule, and it was being kind of like a baseball coach in spring where you get rainouts and you're trying to pick up makeup games here or there. And, that was probably the most thing too, because I do a lot of not advanced, but scouting ahead of time and scouting games, watching film, and we're picking up a game we play the next day or in 2 days. So that part of it's been tough, dealing with trying to prepare for games that way.
Coach, I had a coach in Stark County, Brian Bowden at McKinley. I talked to him today, and he made the comment to me. He said, it seems as though coaches everywhere have a problem that they always want control of everything that they do. This year, knowing that there's not a control of maybe anything that you do off the anything, how does that add gray hairs? Does that, I know there's, what does that do?
Gray hairs? You don't have any hairs.
It would be gray if I let it grow in. It would be partially bald and partially gray, I'm sure. It does, it does. Especially too when we're starting to get down middle of January, and once you get to the end of January, starting to get near the tournament, like not having that control of, something could happen and out of our control, that could affect our team or our players. And, that part of it really gets at me and eats at me a little bit, and I try to practice what I preach, where to not worry about those things, but it's natural. You're gonna. And so that part of it is tough. It really is. I've put in a ton more work time wise this year because of some of these off the court things you got to deal with than ever before. And it is tough. It is wearing, but it's worth it. It's worth it to be able to be out there and play. And, and our girls deserve to be out there. So whatever I got to do, to get them to play, I'll do.
Coach, one more question, and I got a surprise for you. I haven't had too many. I'm going to do a couple first tonight, and you get both of them.
Okay.
Early in the season, you guys beat CVCA. I know that was very early in the season, but that's still a huge win. Does that give you guys any more confidence going into the districts and regionals, or is it just too early in the season that by the time tournament rolls around, it just isn't going to feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, it was early. I mean, it was actually both our openers. It was November 20th. We opened up against them, and that was a game we picked up. Andy had called me and about 4 days before, and we had just lost the game. He lost the game, so we said, yeah, let's play. They have a great team and a great program, and I knew they had all their girls coming back, and I knew we were going to have a good team. So let's start this way. Let's go. And we played great. We played really well. They were a little off shooting the ball, but it is a big win. And even if it was early in the year, I do put a lot on that because they're a really, really good team. And, so for us to win the way we did, was big. And I think it does carry some weight. Obviously, I felt we had a really good December and we played a lot of good teams. Our only loss was to Coach Davis at Hoban, and we had a 13-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and we kind of let one slip away there, and that one eats at me a little bit. But, we use those experiences moving forward. So every game makes a difference, but playing those good teams definitely does.
Well, like I said, I got a couple of surprises for you. Before I do that, all the coaches in our area have a ton of respect for you. I think we had Walt on last week from West Branch, and he mentioned you guys and how tough you guys are, and he always looks forward to it. So, for what it's worth, a lot of the coaches in our area that will eventually match up with you, they have a lot of respect for you and your program.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Eventually, they're going to run into you at some point, sometime. But right now, again, I've never surprised anybody on air, and I've never had a player on air. So I want to ask Madison Hacking, is Coach Roy always this nice, or can he get
tough question on me. He gets hard on you, but it's worth it. Great coach to get on you and make you better. He's always got your back, so.
Madison, I wanted to bring you on because I know that you are doing a project. It's called Hoops for Little Hearts, right?
Yes.
And I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. And first, can you just kind of give everybody who's listening or will be listening an idea of what this is?
Yeah, so Hoops for Little Hearts is a fundraiser I created about 3 years ago. This would be my third year running it. When I was a freshman, I had an AAU coach whose nephew was born with congenital heart defects, which means that he needed to have open heart surgery immediately 3 days after he was born. He's now 4, and he's had 3 open heart surgeries. So this is a big, the fact that a lot of children are born, it affects a lot of people, and it's higher numbers than you would think it is. In some cases, it's higher than cancer for children. And so it's a big problem. And once she told me the story about how her nephew, who was just born, had to have all these surgeries and had a bad heart, it just really spoke to me. And I've always loved basketball and wanted to give back to the community, other people through the game. And so this really created an outlet for me. And so with the help of my team, my coaches, my school, and my parents, we were able to create a fundraiser called Hoops with Little Hearts, and we dedicate one game a season, of JV and varsity, to raising money and bringing awareness to CHD. And we sell T-shirts, we do donations, fundraiser, raffle tickets, whatever we can to help raise money every year. So it's a good event. It's good. All money goes to a nonprofit organization, Mended Hearts, and it just brings support and community to those fighting every day.
Roy, how did when Madison brought this idea to you? I know this is obviously not something a freshman girl can do all on her own. What did it take to kind of get that idea and get it rolling to put it on the court?
I tell you what, Madison's pretty amazing, and she came to me over the summer, a few years ago, and she asked if she could stop over. She stopped over. She had a detailed outline of how she wanted to set up this fundraiser and this game, and when she wanted to do it, and how she wanted to proceed. It was quite impressive, and for her to go through and do this, and she puts in a ton of legwork, and makes calls and emails and sets things up, and it's really amazing, and she's put a ton of time in, and I'm so impressed by what she's done. It's a great fundraiser. It's a great cause. We're so happy to be a part of it, and she's a leader on our team, on the basketball court, but she leads off the court. Does things like this, very unselfish, and it's pretty impressive for a young lady to be able to do that and set all these things up. It's awesome. It took nothing out of me to say yes, yeah, let's go for it, and and she did. She ran with it, and it's pretty impressive.
I know John does a lot of work with Wishes Can Happen on his radio show and with WHBC. So you guys definitely have something in common. But Madison, how has that went so far? Is this year? Will that be the third year or the fourth year? And how has that gone so far for you?
It's going so far pretty good. This isn't going to be the third year, third game and everything. It's, we have COVID this year, and as much as I didn't want it to dampen this fundraiser because it's such a good thing, it's kind of limited what we can do at the game. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that we do at the game is 50-50 raffles, cash donations, check donations. People walk around spreading the word, supporting. People buy the T-shirts ahead of time, and you get them before the game, and you wear them to the game to support them. We have a lot of children who have CHD. They do attend the game, and they get awards, like little things that just help make them feel appreciated and just give them little cheer ups. And we have limited numbers, and with COVID, you have limited fans that only loved ones can come, and everyone only gets 2 to 4 tickets. And so our big money maker this year can't be that game. But luckily, we have T-shirt sales that are going on right now, and anyone can buy. They're $17. We get money goes straight into the Mended Hearts. And anyone, everywhere, all over Ohio, anywhere they want to help, you can order T-shirts. Just go online on the link, and you can just order them right there, which is so great. So we're just trying to spread the word, show your support, T-shirts. We also do, you can send in donations, checks, whatever you want, to pay local schools if you want to make a bigger contribution or don't want a T-shirt too, but you will still want to donate. So through that all, it's kind of been where we're going at lately, just promoting T-shirt sales and donations since we weren't able to have the game for the people in attendance at the game.
Who is the game against this year?
We are playing Lakeside at home.
Okay.
For the CBC game, but we're excited. I come from Lakeside; they're excited to be part of it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think it is an outstanding thing that you've done, that you have been doing. Not only am I going to buy a T-shirt, but I'm going to donate $100 from the Hall of Fame Huddle to your fundraiser. And
thank you, Coach. That means so much.
I will definitely be spreading the word on Twitter. If you send me where people can go, I think you have posted it, so I'll make sure that the word gets out on that. But again, I think it's incredible for a young lady of your age and to have things in mind more than just basketball, school, and boys. So I think it's pretty awesome, and hopefully I can help spread the word a little bit for you.
So definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Coach. Madison, thanks for surprising everybody, and Coach, including Roy. And
Good hearing from you, Madison.
You are officially the first player who's ever showed up on the Hall of Fame Huddle live broadcast in 6 weeks. So,
Woo, there we go.
congratulations on a great season so far, and good luck the rest of the way. And Coach Roy, thank you for your time. And I'll be keeping an eye on you guys for sure.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you having us on. Yeah, anything you need from us, feel free to reach out. I love, the promotion that you guys do for girls basketball and promoting the sport and promoting the girls. It's awesome. So thank you for that. And anything we can do to help, we'd love to. And we're looking forward to, that second half of the season. And even too, I know you talked to Coach Davis about it a little bit, but our region or our district is kind of combined with that Youngstown area district this year. So, we're going to have some other teams in that. So that's going to be very interesting for us too. So we're looking forward to that.
All righty, Coach. Well, good luck. And I'm assuming you're going to be back in Barberton. If you get that far, I'm not trying to draw conclusions, but I believe your regional is still in Barberton. If it is, hopefully we'll see you there.
All right. Sounds good. I hope so too.
All right, Coach. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
John, that was I'm glad I could get Madison on here because she really does do wonderful things with that fundraiser, and she's been doing it for a couple years. But I mean, that's just so unique for a kid that age to be involved in something like that.
Yeah, that's really nice work on her part, and it always amazes me when I see what some of these kids have been able to do, and I think back to some of the stuff I didn't do when I was in high school and that I did do, and kids have so many more resources I think today than when you and I were in school some years back. So I really give these kids credit for what it is that they do, and excited to potentially see Perry later in the season. Not the Perry you and I are used to, but the Perry that maybe more of the state is acquainted with at this point for women or for girls basketball. Rich, I hate to do this to you, but I gotta hop off of here early.
It's all good, man. I'm gonna trade you in anyway. Don't worry.
I know. You've got things planned. Well, you've always got a plan B.
Well, assuming Michael Hearn's ready to go. Last time he was supposed to be on the show, he wasn't. But
yeah, give that guy some grief for me.
All right, John. Hey, man, we'll talk to you soon, and have a good week. We'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Richie.
All right, bye. All righty. I'm flying solo now. I can do this little fun thing here, though, so you guys don't have to look at me nonstop. We're going to get Jamie Edwards on here soon. See if I can get Michael Hearn on here first. He had a game tonight, so we'll see. We'll see what he's up to.
Hello there.
Michael Hearn.
How are you?
You are the new co-host, sir. How was your game tonight?
Amani Bates is very good.
Who?
You don't know him because he plays boys basketball.
Can you? I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're a little low on the volume.
How about now?
Maybe a little bit better.
Well, I can't really max out my car.
Well, Mike, we have Jamie Edwards coming on with us, and
Okay.
Jamie is the coach at Cardington Lincoln. And before I get started, I better tweet it out, Jamie. If I don't tweet out that I got you on the show, who's gonna know?
Coach Hardwick would be all over that.
He texted me last week when I didn't give him a shout out. So I better make sure I give him a shout out to start the show this week. So, Scott Hardwick, man, you are the excellent coach. You are an awesome scorekeeper during the summer. Appreciate you, buddy. So, Jamie, I got Michael Hearn with us.
Money?
He does. I mean, he probably does, but not like
That kind of introduction, he's got to owe you money.
not actively.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you consider the showcases and AAU and all that stuff, he will be paying me at some point, but
Maybe you owe him money.
he doesn't have
That's
a
what it
debt.
is.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
We'll get your little logo up here on the corner of the screen.
There we go.
We're working with a new platform this week, so trying to figure this out. I was a little late because
There it is.
what's that?
There it is. I see it.
Scary.
I was a little late today because I'm trying to figure out my headphones are not wanting to cooperate with this thing. So,
Operator error.
Mike, I got you on here to be a positive asset to the program, not a constant harassment to me.
I'm just stating a fact. It does look very nice, by the way, the banner over your face.
Well, that's the best I can do right now, man. I'll get better as we go.
I'm just saying because I picked that logo.
Oh, okay. All right, Jamie,
You don't
give
even
us.
like that logo.
You're not the first pirate that we've talked to tonight. We just got
No.
done with Roy from Perry. So you're the second pirate that we've talked to tonight. And you guys are still undefeated, correct?
Yeah, we are. We're 12-0. We just had a league game with Highland on Saturday. We had Fredericktown on Wednesday, I believe. So yeah, we're still sitting undefeated. We got a good game tomorrow against Danville. Should be they're one of our league rivals. So it should be a good game. And we just got information. We got a starter out with contact tracing, so they missed practice today. So we're in plugging some holes right now, figuring out how our lineup's going to look and situational things for tomorrow. So we've been pretty busy.
And just to be clear, that's not the Highland, the Berlin Highland. That's the
Sparta Highland.
Sparta Highland. There's literally 3 Highlands in Ohio that I know of. There might be more. That's the one that I'm the least familiar with. So, you guys had a great year last year. You made it to regionals. What was it like for you guys to get over that hump, of being very successful, having dang near undefeated seasons, getting to district finals. But then last year, you guys got over that hump and made it to regionals. What did that feel like for the Pirates?
Well, there's a monkey off my back for sure. When I was at Olentangy coaching, I coached in the girls program over there for 4 years, and we made regionals or district finals all 4 years and got beat in the district finals every time. And then as a coach at Cardington, when I took over, we kept finding ourselves in the district finals, and it's just one of those things that just wasn't meant to be until last year. And then we had to play a tough Worthington Christian team, with Cat Weekly and crew, and they're all back this year, and it was a great win. They made a nice run at us at the end, and it was elation for sure. I know Coach Fitzpatrick and myself had a big hug after the game, and I was like, yeah, we finally did it. We've been there so many times, and it's just nice to get that monkey off the back, especially with the good crew. It was pretty special for us.
How hard I'm not even going to say or easy because I know it ain't easy, but, tell us about the challenge of replacing a player like Berkey and even your backup post player last year. You guys got much smaller. How has that transition been for you guys so far this year?
Oh, well, we're lucky to have a crew. It's been tough. I mean, you've known the Lady Pirates for the last 5 years, and we've ran a high-low offense, and we weren't really a pressing team because we were so big. We were more of a 1-3-1, three-quarter court, half-court trapping type team, using our size and basketball IQ to this year where we've had to revamp everything we do. We're more of a 5-out motion offense with a bunch of little quick girls that can handle the ball and shoot the lights out. And it's been a major adjustment because now we're a full-court pressing team, running jump. Now we still have the 1-3-1 in our pocket. We're known to throw that out, but it's been a total revamp of offense and out-of-bounds plays, and I mean, when you got Casey Bulkey to throw to, it's not hard to say, lob play or pick and roll back to the hoop and throw it in there. And you got another 6-foot post to back her up. It's pretty easy. Now we gotta just rethink every situation that we're in.
Let's back up a little bit, maybe even more than a little bit. For people who aren't familiar with Cardington, you guys you're, I would say, about 40 minutes north of Columbus, up 71. But tell us a couple of the foundations to your program. Obviously, with the success that you've had, there's some pretty important ingredients there. But just kind of go over a couple of the most important ones, things that you kind of really live by as the leader of the program.
Well, number one, I think coaching staff, respect for the coaching staff. When I first got there 5 years ago, I went out and it's probably a unique situation for our coaching staff, but every coach in my staff is a graduate of Cardington High School. They've all played in the program, whether it's the men's or women's program. And, these are people I've known most of my life. And my 2 assistant coaches have been best friends since we were like 4 years old, playing baseball and together at Fulton, a little village outside of Cardington. So, we grew up together. We know what it takes and commitment. And I think that our staff puts in, if not more hours in most programs. We live in the gym. We get the girls in there. We get them to buy in. We get them to believe in themselves. We get the kids involved in AAU programs and get them on the court in the spring and summer and just get them as much basketball exposure as we can. Just constant reps on the floor and playing in the biggest I won't say showcases in the preseason, but the biggest shootouts against the best teams and testing yourself against the best groups. And I think we've built a culture of competition. And we really think that a lot of people say you've got them to drink the Kool-Aid, and we just positive atmosphere with these coaches and getting the kids to believe in themselves and what we're trying to build. And when we first got in there, we said, we want to be respected. We want to be like the programs like Berlin Highland, not just to have a couple good teams, but we're constantly good and respected. And when people talk about small school basketball, we want Cardington, the name, to be thrown out there along with some of the others. And I think we've done a pretty good job over the last 5 years trying to build that culture.
And you've also had several kids, including your daughter, Kinley. Hopefully she's listening. I score some brownie points for that shout out. But, you've had several kids that moved on and played at the next level. And I personally know that you're very active in kids recruiting. You do a lot of work in that aspect.
Recruiting's big. Kendall Spires, she's one of the first bigs I had when I was there. She's currently at Saginaw Valley State. She's a junior. Sage Brannon went to Ashland, is now Mount Vernon Nazarene University. She's out with a season-ending elbow injury, unfortunately. Kenley started out at Finley and then transferred to Lords. Casey Berkey from last year, all Ohioans at Cedarville. And we've had Paige Klinger, Taylor Repper, some other of our good players at Mount Union, Heidelberg. And that, we think developing a good relationship with college coaches is important. Getting them in the right program. We got 3 of our current players playing in your program right now, and I think that's a key to build success and build that support. That's support that's not just from the coaches and the staff, but other coaches that know more people than I know and more people than my assistant coaches know, like yourself, and just getting them out there and getting them in front of the right people.
Mm-hmm. So does Scott Hardwick, if he sends you a text and you don't respond immediately, does he send it same thing to you on Twitter like he does me, or?
No, I think that's just you.
Daggone it.
Sometimes Coach Edwards don't get back real quick.
I don't know if I should be honored about that or not, but I can't give Scott a shout out and not hassle him a little bit.
There you go.
You mentioned Highland. You mentioned that you guys are looking to be mentioned with some of those small school teams. The kind of like the small town, the community thing is definitely not what it used to be. Is that something that is challenging for you guys to keep up, or does it? How does that work for you guys? Because it every year it gets smaller and smaller as far as the hometown pride, kids transfer. It just gets harder. Is that something that you guys have to consistently focus on, or?
Yeah, we got to build them. I mean, you really have to work with your youth program. We're not getting transfers. I'm not going to throw any names out there, but some of these bigger schools playing tonight, we got teams full of transfers playing against each other. But we're not getting anyone to transfer to the cornfields and play at Cardington Lincoln. So we have to find our kids early, get them in the gym, get them in the right youth programs, get them the right coaches, get them on AAU teams. Do your skills and drills in the summer. You just gotta, like I said, you got to get them to drink the Kool-Aid and get them to believe. And once they know you care, but in a small school like Cardington, if you're not living with your youth program, there's no way you can stay successful. You'll be like most other schools. You'll cycle a couple good years of talented players, and they graduate, and then you got 3 or 4 rebuilding years. And so I think the youth program and the right coaching staff, and Coach Hardwick, which you mentioned, has got kids in the program. I've got kids in the program. And, so we get to know these kids a little bit more, because they're not only on the court for skill drills, they're staying the night at our house. We're taking them out, with us when we go out in family gatherings. It's just a small knit family. And I think that's probably the most important thing. And, the one thing I want to say about the small town atmosphere, before Corona, when you go to Cardington girls basketball game and the stands are full. When I coach D1 basketball, you're lucky to have 100 fans. You come here and everybody wants to come watch, the Pirates play, whether it's boys or girls, and you're sometimes standing room only if you're playing a rival, and this is girls basketball. So that's another positive about, being so small and in a small rural community, that everyone wants to be a part of it, which is nice.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I think I've seen you guys play Fredericktown. Is it Fredericksburg? Fredericktown. I was at one of those games a couple of years ago, and there were a lot of people, without a doubt. And just kind of going back to Highland, because this is it was a very hot topic last week. It's kind of leveled itself out this week. And
I saw they're where they need to be now. For sure.
So I was going to ask how do you feel about the rankings, but you clearly agree with me that they were the best team in the state.
No doubt a doubt. I mean, you were there in Indiana. I know me and my assistant coaches are all there in Indiana 3 or 4 times this summer, and all 3 of us coaches went over and sat down on the sidelines and watched Berlin every time they were playing. And these guys are playing against the top AAU programs in the country and giving them everything they had down to the wire, if not winning most games. And it's like we just looked at each other and we're watching this team play, and we're like, oh, wow. I mean, I don't know if we want any part of that ever. Now, they got everybody back, and they handled us easily in the regionals. And they're all back, and we lost Casey Berkey and Hannah Wickline. It's like, I mean, to run into a team like that now, and like we went over there and played, and Schlaball had us over, and we played in their backyard during the pandemic, and we went over there, and we're just like, wow, the commitment these guys have. No, we get in the gym a lot, and we got our kids committed. It's a whole different level when you go over there and look at the commitment these kids put in. They're not just getting in the gym. These guys are getting in the gym, and they're putting in work, and it's an amount of work that if you don't know Berlin Highland, you don't know basketball, it's something that it amazes even us.
Well, that's got to be a huge compliment to you guys, because we know how those AP polls work, and you guys really aren't. I mean, Mansfield maybe, and I don't even know who votes. I don't know if the Mansfield paper has a vote. You're not real close to Columbus, but you are. I mean, you're not in a big metropolis area where you got a bunch of people that can vote for you, but you still get a lot of respect year in and year out in those rankings. Yeah. So that's got to be a huge compliment.
We're in the middle of nowhere. We got a couple small papers, Marion Star, Morrow County Sentinel, Knox County paper. So nothing real close. We have nothing like directly on us, but the Marion Star, Morrow County, all those, they do a good job at covering us. But you're right, it's not like
I'm guessing those guys probably don't have a vote. I mean, I think there's like 15 to 18 across the state. So
yeah, I really think Rich should get a vote.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree 100%.
Represent all of Ohio, like from Canton down to Dayton.
100%.
Let's not get into any Dayton talk. But Jamie, I want to thank you for your time. I always keep an eye on you guys, and even though it's been a couple years since I've gotten out there, but I appreciate you guys, and I value your friendship, and even more than maybe closer than a friend, not a brother, but closer than a friend. So just keep working hard out there. There's a lot in that program that I'm invested in and appreciate. So
yeah, I appreciate you and everything you do for girls basketball.
Just keep it rolling, man, and
we'll do our best.
Things will end the way they're meant to.
Yep, that's true.
Hey, tell those kids I said hi out there, Kinley and Carson. Sure, I'll give them a shout out too, because I don't want to discriminate against the young twins.
Yeah.
And Beth too. I can't leave Beth Hardwick out, man. That'll be my next text from Scott.
Yep, it's on its way.
Hey man, have a great night. I appreciate you coming on with us
have
late.
A great night.
All right, take it easy, Jamie. Michael Hearn,
Hello?
You are out in the area, as you know. Last week, OG
Toledo right now.
OG was ranked higher than Highland. From somebody's perspective that knows OG very well, give us a case on why that may not have been a bad thing.
Why what? Why they were ranked number one?
Why OG? Why it was deserving for them to be number one over Highland last week?
First of all, who cares? I mean, it's funny that you say that, because there are some pretty prominent people in that program that didn't care and kind of laughed at them being number one. Okay, we're 10-0, but going into the Bath game, for instance, they didn't look like a number one.
Okay.
If you're actually looking at these polls, the real thing, because Bath beat OG up and down the floor at their own game on Thursday night. They did everything. I mean, Bath, whose only loss is to Mick, who's ranked number 2 in D4, and if you look at it, they're the two-time defending champs. I mean,
so there's not a case.
Weird thing, because I don't think, I personally don't think they should have been ranked number one. But what do you, I mean? Well,
I'm asking.
Younger, and they weren't ready.
If there's anybody who could give us a viewpoint from the other side of the spectrum, it was you. So that, that's why I asked. They don't matter. But if
we talked about it beforehand, and I said I don't care what, it just happens that I cover OG, but they weren't ready to be number one. They've had some injuries. They lost Maggie Verhoff before the year, who would have been one of their better defenders, lost her to soccer and an injury. They've had kind of a slow transition with Chloe Glenn, who missed the first 2 games because a teammate fell on her knee during a loose ball during practice. She's come back, and in her 10 games, she's got 9 double-figure games and 5 double-doubles. Now, none of that came into play on Thursday night. Again, Bath is a team that was very young the last 2 years, and I said 2 years ago when OG went to Lima that they were going to be dangerous in a couple of years, and they finally put it together. And Troy Ant said after the game, we weren't ready for that game.
So how good is Lima Bath? Very good. I mean, I know the Northwest region is
starters for multiple years, and they've all matured. Now, the problem for Bath is the district that they're in is like a murderer's row in Division 2, because they've got Napoleon, they've got Toledo Rogers, Toledo Central Catholic, St. Mary's, who is a better team. I think it's sort of under the radar. And I actually was talking to some Bath people, and they were saying it's an oddity that you might not even get a WBL team out of sectional, let alone district, because of the way that is.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see that, but these districts are so weird this year.
Yeah. Well, we got started late, so we're going much later than we're used to. Before we get off here, give me one team. Well, let's go with 2. Give me 2 teams out in the Northwest part of Ohio that are hot right now, and we should probably get to know a little bit.
Fort Laramie.
Okay. You have to give me a little more than
Not really
that.
going to surprise anybody. Fort Laramie's won something like 61 of their last 62 games.
And they
Their
absolutely
only loss was in
manhandled
the
Glen
regional
Oak.
final. Keep an eye on this. Saturday afternoon, they host Ottawa Glendorf.
Okay.
I think that's a really good matchup. It's interesting for OG because, again, with a younger group in terms of playing time, they're taking on an older group. Maybe not as much of an overall talented group as last year for Laramie, but still one of the two best teams in the state. I think them and Minster, depending on how the regions and all that nonsense works out, could be on a collision course again. Kind of a dark horse pick. Let's see.
Before we move on, do you know off the top of your head when Minster and Fort Laramie are going to play, or have they already?
It comes.
Got to play in the regular season at some point, right?
It's in the next 3 weeks. I can't remember the exact date.
Well, whenever you find out, text me.
30th. I can't remember for sure.
I would love to get to one of those games, and I don't want to have to wait till the tournament because there might be some big games in this area that I would rather be at. But
are you allowed that far south?
Man, I own Dayton. Let's just be honest.
Is it because we're all Dayton?
We are all Dayton.
Okay.
If nothing else, we all bow down to Dayton.
I think so about it.
All right, give me the last one. Give me the last one. Fort Laramie and...
I take that back. I'm sorry. They already played. It was 36-26 Fort Laramie.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't remember with all the games that are going on. I mean, it's a lot of top-heavy teams because of who you think. You know, you see year in, year out, OG Path, Fort Laramie, Minster. I really like St. Mary's. Their head coach, John Burke. I really like what he's doing, building their program. They've got a lot of nice young pieces, but kind of unfortunately for them, they're in a weird spot where they already lost to OG. They'll need to beat Bath, and I believe that game is actually at Bath. That's not the Tub is not an easy place to win.
Mm-hmm.
In normal years, I would tell you Audubon, but they've got some issues right now with some things of getting beat. Minster got them pretty bad last week. I don't know if there's a...
Give me an update on Spencerville and Emma Lease. How's she doing?
She's within 40 points of 1,000.
Only 1,000? I
say,
thought she'd be chasing 2,000 by now.
No, but she's less than 10 assists away from breaking the school's record.
Oh, wow. So it's possible she could hit
likely come this week.
She could hit 1,000 and get the assist record in the same game, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know what she did on Saturday against Shawnee, but I know on Monday against St. Mary's, she needed 13 assists to break the record.
Okay.
So she would own both the season and career records in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be a team that a lot of people aren't really seeing, but they've got kind of a hot and cold thing where if they're hitting from three, they've got a young girl, freshman named Heidi Keller, who I think the world of. She had 15 at her first high school game, hit 5 threes against OG. Kind of has been in and out of the lineup since that point with some injuries, but they might be a dark horse. But again, they're in the same district with OG and Liberty Benton.
Mm-hmm.
LB, by the way, who just got knocked off by a much improved Kalida team. There's your dark horse.
What division is Kalida?
4.
So they're going to have to go through Minster or Fort Laramie, too.
No, that's split. They're on the other side. They basically have to go through the Putnam County League again.
But to get the regionals, they would have to go through. I mean, in regionals, they would meet up.
Yeah, they would meet them in the regionals.
Yeah.
Because it's I want to say Defiance, Flashy Lida, and then you go against the MAC is all in Wapak.
All right, last question, Mike. How much longer till we have a little baby Hearn?
February 18th.
Oh my goodness, it's almost a month away.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be late because this kid has done everything late so far. So see how that goes.
As long as he's not as, I'm sorry, I don't need. Is it a? Do you know if it's a boy or girl? I don't want to make that
It's
mistake.
a girl.
Thank God I asked. I know how that can be. When I was born, apparently I had
Was
really
a 13-pound baby.
I had really large hands and feet, and everyone called me Curious George, and my mom cried, I guess, a lot. So I'm not going to
Probably
make that
cries when
mistake.
she sees you now too, but that's a whole
I actually had a
other
black eye when I was born too. Don't ask me how. I have not confronted my dad about it, but definitely had a black eye when I was born.
Well, I have said in a lot of ways that you're a medical miracle, and that wasn't necessarily a good thing.
I can always count on you, Mike.
I love you, you know that.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on with us here in the last segment, and enjoy the last month of being a
I'm just glad that I
fatherless
wasn't
child.
peeing this time.
What's that?
I'm glad I wasn't peeing this time and missed it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was starting to worry about you.
Whatever.
All right, man. I appreciate you helping out here, and I'm sure we'll be getting you back on the line before no
Hopefully I'll
time.
see you soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you for listening. We got the Classic in the Country coming up this week. We are going to have a special Classic in the Country show tomorrow. So we'll have more details about that on Twitter. And I believe we're going to have another live show during the Classic this weekend. So just stay tuned, and we will get you some more coverage. If everybody's down to Classic this weekend, say hi, and we'll see you. Everybody, be kind to others, do something good for somebody else, and do not be fake. Goodbye.